Now, let me discuss the theory of supply. Now, theory of supply, it is essentially just an opposite of what we studied in demand. Now, let me talk about what the supply means. It is the amount of goods and services that a producer is willing to offer for sale at a particular price and time. So all these goods and services that a producer, is willing to offer for a sale at a particular price at a time will be considered as a supply. So every time, everything at a particular price, what a producer is willing to supply into the market for the sale is referred to as the supply. Now, because this producer is a profit maximizer, he will be willing to supply more when the price increases. So there is a direct relationship that flows between the price and the supply. Now let me consider a diagram. Say taking supply on the x-axis and price on the y-axis, we will get a positive slope graph. The slope is positive, the relationship is direct. So if I write the supply curve, essentially it is in the form of y is equal to e plus bx with a positive slope. So supply is as a function of price is like this. So the slope is going to be positive slope, because as the price increases, the producer is going to supply more. Now let me talk about the determinants of supply. The very first determinant of supply is the price of a commodity. Now, as we talked about that, this producer is a profit maximizer. So if the price increases, he is going to increase the supply, which means that in anticipation of earning the more profits, he is going to increase the supply when the price of a particular product increases. The second one is price of related commodities. Now we have already talked about what these related commodities are. Now if the price of these related commodities increase, now if the price of these related commodities increase, it's going to be more profitable for a producer. So essentially he is going to supply more of these rather than supplying the main product. So as the price of the related commodities increase, the supplier is going to increase the supply of the related commodities. Now let me talk about a third factor, that is the price of factors of production. Now these factors of production are normally land, labor, capital, and manage. Now, for land, we have to pay a rent. For labor, we have to pay wages. For capital, we have to pay interest. And for manager, we have to pay the profits. So, these factors of production, these are the costs of actually the factors of production. Now, consider a case, say for example, this commodity X and commodity Y. Now, commodity X uses the factors of production like land and capital. This uses the labor and manager. Now, land and capital are essentially priced higher as compared to the labor and manager. So it is going to be profitable for a producer to supply commodity Y because it uses those factors of production that are priced lower, and it is going to increase his profits. So the consumer, to a producer, is going to supply those commodities. He's going to supply those commodities that use the factors of production that are of low cost or that are available at low cost to a producer. Now, the third factor is or the fourth factor is the government policy. Now, one of the important government policies are taxes. Suppose a producer is in the production of FMCG products, fast moving consumer goods products, and the taxes have been increased by the regulator or by the government. Government has increased the taxation of the FMCG products. Now, for a producer, it becomes the producer is not going to supply or is not going to increase the supply of these goods because the taxes of this sector are increased by the government. So he's going to move from this sector to some other sector. Say for example, he's going to move to some pharma sector. If he's already assuming that he is already into production of both the sectors in FMCG as well as in pharma, so he is going to shift his resources from the FMCG sector to the pharmaceutical sector because here the taxes are low and the government intervention is low, and it's going to be more profitable for him to supply these pharma products rather than the supply of the FMCG products.